Hello everyone, I'm Grim, a freelance artist, and this week I want to see how much I've improved at drawing. If you're an artist yourself, I am sure you've stressed about trying to improve before, but also art is so subjective that it can be hard to measure improvement. A really common way to test this as an artist is to redraw one of your old pieces of art. In my case, I'm going to be redrawing some of my Soul Eater fan art of Dr. Stein because we are getting close to fall weather where I am, and I just adore the spooky season of Halloween so much. Soul Eater was also one of my favorite animes when I was younger, so it's a little bit of a self-indulgent nostalgia trip. Normally, when you redraw an old piece of art, you focus on recreating it with your new skill set. In my case, I'm limited on time, so I'm going to focus on not just using my existing skill set, but also trying to make smarter decisions to improve the piece and my workflow, which I hope will make up for the fact that I can't spend as much time on the piece as I want to. So, stick around and I'll go through my thought process on how I did that and reflect on how the new piece went. If you want, you should grab one of your own creative projects to work along with me on this video. Maybe sketch up a redraw of your own. So, without further ado, the first big decision I made was to slightly change the angle and push the perspective on the new piece. I did this by amping up the perspective slider in Clip Studio Paint with my models for reference, and going in with an angle that would really foreshorten the scythe and Stein's arm. Doing this just really makes the piece feel more dramatic, which is a lot more in line with my current work and honestly the original style of Soul Eater. Which I think if you're gonna do fan art, you might as well capture the spirit of the original. It's part of what makes it fan art. I also included things that I forgot the first time around that are crucial to Stein's character. Like, how did I forget his glasses? He's always wearing those, and he's never not smoking, like even when he's teaching. I don't know how I forgot those the first time. It's embarrassing, honestly. So, a very big pro tip for drawing fan art of a character: make sure you identify the crucial parts of their design and do not cut those out. Otherwise, they won't look like the character they're supposed to be, or something will just feel off the entire time. I also wasn't happy with the scythe in the original, and I wasn't terribly happy with the angle of it in my model, so I decided to cheat it a bit to make it more appealing. I mostly just made sure to actually have the blade curve into the composition rather than let it shoot off to the side. The big reason for doing this is that it keeps the viewer a lot more trapped in the image when their eyes follow the end of the blade. It meets with the coat edge instead of the edge of the canvas, which causes the viewer's eye to follow the coat edge back up to Stein's face and stay looking at the picture. It's a really nitty-gritty technical decision, but all of those little micro decisions really help to make a strong composition. The last big change I made was the background. So the one I had in the original was a bunch of Clip Studio assets stapled together, which is perhaps thematically appropriate for this character with all of his stitching and Frankenstein aesthetics. But this time around, I decided to at least draw my background entirely myself. There's nothing wrong with using Clip Studio assets to speed up your workflow and get things going and get yourself a base to work from. They're absolutely fantastic for that. But if you're trying to see how much you've improved, you should probably do it yourself. Anyway, I wish I had more time to spend on this piece because I would have loved to include Soul Eater's signature moon and some cool silhouetted rooftops with yellow windows, kind of in the vein of the paper moon opening of the show. However, I did at least color pick from Soul Eater's usual purple sky, and the clouds really help to direct the eye in the composition better than what I had in the original, which the original was just doing nothing to lead the viewer's eye around. It was just kind of colors and shapes back there. I think having finished this piece, it's definitely clear that I have improved and that my style has evolved quite a bit. A lot of little bits of polish are undoubtedly better, and more choices were made deliberately rather than just going with my gut and doing whatever. I probably could have fleshed out the shading a lot more if I had time, but I also only spent about 2 hours on the redraw, so I don't mind that much that it's not as detailed. I hope that maybe in another 4 years or so, I'll come back to this piece again and be able to push it even further. With that, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me on this redraw and maybe seeing a new perspective that redrawing isn't just about technical drawing skill, but also creative decision making. This is also the part of the video where I remind you that if you had a good time watching the video, to consider liking, subscribing, commenting, any of that sort of thing. Because that is how you tell the computer gods over at YouTube that this video is in fact not garbage. And so, I will see you in the next video. What will it be? Who knows? You'll have to stick around and find out. In the meantime, bye-bye!